there's a piece that we often miss in anything like this, because people just want to go for the money, right? They're like, oh, it's going to be amazing, and we've got this app, and we've got this video, and we've got this thing. If you don't have a framework in mind, and you don't have the basic fundamental skills to actually execute and take action, that software is useless, right? Think of all of the stuff that you've got on your computer, you've got on your laptop, you've bought over the years. I don't want my products that I've spent thousands of dollars and endless days building to go on the heap of unused stuff. I want to make sure that you're using that, and you're using that properly. And in order to get this right, we need to have a very basic fundamental framework in place that you can use to actually describe to people what you do. And you can also use that to keep yourself on track. I want you to be able to execute. And when I say execute, that means clicking with purpose, right? It's not just going in there and just doing stuff. And if people say, what are you working on? You're like, I don't know. It's like, that's not clicking with purpose, right? So we've got to have a framework. We've got to be able to execute with purpose. And then we need to know what this sort of like the taking action, what would you do in an hour's work? So if I can give you that, and then we talk a little bit about the relationships with the clients, we can move nicely into the software knowing that the foundations are in place. So you've got the will, you've got the skills, you've got the desire, you've got all these things that we're working on. I didn't actually get many barriers to you guys doing this. And if you are live with me, you can drop questions and things in the chat. Let me know you can see, let me know you can hear, let me know that this is working. But we are at a point now where we know how like how many people are out there wanting AI related services, AI related products. We know people are buying loads of different things just to try them. And what often happens is those things end up on that heap of unused stuff, because people don't have a framework. They've no idea how to execute. They're not taking action. They're not building relationships with people. And they're certainly not putting these apps and things that they're buying into good use, right? So I don't want you to be like that, but I want you to leverage that, because unfortunately, the people who keep buying stuff and keep going out there and they've got these crazy ideas that they never execute, they are potentially going to be some of your first customers. And it's up to you to kind of have this similar conversation with your customers to make sure that they're not just doing things for the sake of it, right? So I want to talk to you through these things. The document is in the resources session at the top. So your framework, the execution, all of the things. And it's been a while since I delivered that training. There's a full course on it. We charged a lot of money for that course, $2,000 for that course. I'm going to reference this sort of off screen, and I'm going to use the whiteboard and stuff as well, so that you guys have got the current take on this and how it actually applies to AI and the things that we're going to be doing. And you know that we've got like 4 sessions left to make sure that you get the most of this, and you get the most of the software, and you get the most of the apps. I don't want these things just to end up not being used, right? So the whole point of this is to get you prepared, get you ready, get you to the right spot. And then as we go through the 3 different softwares that you're going to get tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, and then we wrap all of this up in the final session, you should be fully equipped to go out there. And like I said, I'm going to show you where to go to actually catch your first fish and go and catch your first client, right? And hopefully they are serious. And I'll give you some scripts and all of the things of how you can talk to people and how you can get people to sign up and give you money. But it all starts with the fundamental, and the fundamental is the framework, right? Because the framework makes the game work. And it's so important that you've at least given this some thought. Otherwise, if you've not given it any thought, you'll get asked a difficult question that you can't answer. And if you can't answer it, especially in front of a customer, then your chances of making some money are limited, right? So what I want to do is just share the whiteboard. And on here, I'm just going to write a little statement, right? Dead easy. right? This is a statement that everybody should have. And this is the very, very basic framework that you can use to start to get an idea of what your business actually is. Because we're not going in here to mess around. We're going into business. We're going to create a side hustle, something that we can grow, something that we can scale, something that we can make bigger and better every single day. And it's important that you focus on who you help, the problem you solve, and how you solve it, right? And this is a framework. It might seem simple, but it is so important. And if we overlook this and we just dive into the software, you won't have the foundation that you need to be effective or as effective as what you could be as if you had a framework, right? So I want to take 5 minutes and just walk through this. And then I want everybody, whether you're watching live or you're on the replay, to do this exercise on a piece of paper. So you've got to ask, who are you actually going out there to help? And everybody's got a why, right? Everybody's got this reason why they want to start this. And obviously you're going to help yourself, but there's also people out there that you really want to help. So it could be as simple as that. But the power of doing this and making the statement, I help small business owners, what that does is it eliminates all of the other people that you don't help. See how this becomes a framework? I help entrepreneurs. I help big companies. I help corporations. I help coaches. I help mums. I help dads. I help children and young people. Who are the folks that you really believe that your product and service is going to help? I help social media influencers, right? What it's doing is it's helping you to narrow your focus, because I help everybody. Well, good luck with that. You've got to really focus. And to do that, you need to make a statement, right? You need to write this down, and this becomes part of your framework. I help beginners. I help people who are really advanced. There's a difference. So you've got to make that statement, and you've got to make that before we meet tomorrow and we start going into software, right? So you help small business owners or whoever, right? And what we're going to do from here is we're going to say, like, what do we actually help them to do, right? So I'll come down here and I can fill in this bit, and you can write this down on a piece of paper, whatever you want to do. I help small business owners reach their AI goals or financial goal or, sports or fitness or whatever thing. This works for anything, right? But right now we are being specific. So what I want to do is say, in my example here, I help small business owners to reach their AI video goals. Is that really what I'm doing? And they've got to question it, right? It's not actually the AI video goal. It's the social media goals, right? It's a different world. It's two different things, right? It allows you to focus. So in this example, I help small business owners reach their social media goal. And everybody's got a social media goal, right? They want more likes, they want more followers, they want more sales. So these goals are very specific for the business, right? I'm not going in there to help them with the tax and accounting goal. Pay the least tax. Everybody's goal: don't pay tax, right? You're going to pay as least as possible. Yeah, you're a really good accountant. They will show you where to make savings, what the things that you can deduct. That ain't our bag. So we're not going in there saying, I help everyone to do everything. We're going in there saying, I help small business owners to reach their social media goals. And you're going to do this through. Now, this bit is divided up into 3 sections, right? And it's done for a reason, so that you are not going too broad in your service, but you've still got enough meat on the bone to offer a really good rounded service, right? So the way this works is something they must have in order to reach those goals, right? So you're going to put something that they must have, something that they must believe, and over here, something that they must actually do or aspire towards, right? Or something that they must like do when you finish to keep moving. So something they must have that you can give them, that only you can give them, helps season this whole thing, right? So if I put in here, think logically, to help excuse me, to help a small business owner reach their social media goals, they must have what's the thing, right? So they must have quality content. So I can write that in, right? And you see why this is so important in a second. Quality content, right? So that's the first bit. Because needless to say, it works the other way, right? If they don't have quality content, they will never achieve their social media goal. Does that make sense? So I help small business owners to reach the social media goals. I do this through something they must have, which is quality content. I also do this through something they must believe, right? So they've got to have this thing. They've got to have quality content, but they've got to believe in something, right? And it's 2 different questions. It's like, well, they've got quality content. What do they need to believe in? What do they need to believe in? Right? So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just be very simple in this approach, which ties in perfectly to what we're doing. I'm just going to put AI, right? Because there's businesses out there that don't believe in AI. So it would be impossible, therefore, for me to help them because my framework doesn't stand up in that relationship. So I help small business owners to reach their social media goals, and I do this through quality content, AI, which is broad enough to be videos, images, text, audio, all the things we talked about, and then something that they must aspire or actually like try to reach or do. Because if I teach you all of this stuff, I help you guys to achieve your financial goals, and I do this through quality training, a framework, and then I just leave at that point. Chances are you won't do it, right? And if you don't do it, you won't see results because you didn't do the work. So something that they must aspire towards, that they must actually do. Well, in this case, it's pretty simple. I'll make it like this. Comprehensive posting strategy, which basically means that the stuff that we make for them, they actually go and post. So now in 20 minutes, and you could do the same before we touch anything, any software, any go talk to anybody. We now have a framework. So if it falls within our framework, we're good. If it falls outside of our framework, we don't entertain it. And when somebody says, hey, Danny, what do you do? I say I help small business owners reach social media goals, and I do this through quality content, AI, and a comprehensive posting strategy. And people go, cool, tell me more. That means that you've got a lead. when somebody says, tell me more. You don't go in there and say, well, I help everybody to do everything and I don't really know how I do it. Can you see the difference between having a simple framework and not? So how many people in the chat right now, if you're watching live or on the replay, came into this with a comprehensive framework that they could clearly deliver? If somebody says, what do? I don't know. Or now you can go away from this and you can create your own statement. I help whoever to achieve whatever, and I do this through A, B, and C. Something they must have, something they must believe, and something that they must actually do. It keeps you on track. It keeps you focused. It keeps you level-headed, and it allows you to do the most important thing in business, which is say no. Because there's a chance by the weekend when we're in these groups and we're going fishing that somebody will pop up and ask you to do some stuff and you will say yes. And you'll say yes and you'll end up in a nightmare of the customer wants everything and you can't even deliver it, right? Because you're not sticking to a set of rules, a framework. So you can see how your framework underpins all of the things that you're going to do going forward, right? So if you make that statement, you can be proud about that, right? You can go and tell your husband or your wife and you say, hey, we're in business. Oh, really? Family's always skeptical. Really? So yeah, we help, just put the we on them, right? We help small business owners to reach their social media goals. We do this through quality content, AI, and a comprehensive posting strategy. Done.